I chose the side hustle. It was at the time side hustle. I'm trying to make a transition right now, but you have to enjoy. In the end, it was that decision that you took on the spot, asking yourself, what do you really want to do? What do you want? Your heart, what does it tell you? And it was that. And I believe you have to enjoy.
Create your own fortune.
And we're live today with the amazing Sasha Varova. Yeah, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
We're interviewing you in a series Pre-Idea to Profit, and I think you have such an amazing life story. So that's where I would like to start off with. I'm a big fan of your product, so I'll show one of my favorites. The only thing is that there's a little bit of reflection, so I'll take it off for the rest of the interview. But I use these daily, and I love your brand. And of course, I love your story as well. So why don't we dive right into where you grew up? Because that's already such an amazing story.
Thank you so much, Nienke. Well, I grew up in Vladivostok. It's a small town in the far east of Russia. You probably have seen it on a map if you flew to Asia. So basically what influenced a lot of decisions in my life was my mother. When I was 11 years old, my mother, she started working in the Korean consulate in Vladivostok. So I was very much inspired by her work and her communication with her Korean colleagues. So imagine 1990, I am 9 years old, and also the subsequent years of the collapse. And literally Korea was the first foreign country that I have seen as a child. And I was so much impressed by it. As a kid, I loved
because you
everything
grew
about
up
it.
in Russia when it was still Soviet Union, right?
Yes, exactly. So 1991 collapse, and my mom starts working in the consulate, and I'm so much impressed by the country. As a kid, I loved everything about it, how it tastes, how it sounds, how it feels. So I fell in love with it immediately, and I wanted to connect my future with the country. At the age of 15, I knew exactly what I want to do, what I want to study. I had this dream to go to Korea and to be there. It was nothing more than that. There was
15.
No business plan at 15. And it was a very simplistic dream. If we start talking about it, I just wanted to be there. But it reflected all my future decisions, like starting to learn the language, etc.
And how did your mom feel about that? Because it's one thing like working for a consulate, but then it's a second thing like having a daughter that's obsessed, that wants to move to a different country. Did she encourage you? Did she discourage you? How did that go?
No, she was very happy with my I would say, obsession and the dream to go there, absolutely. But also, to be honest, subsequent years after the collapse were very hard, and there were so few opportunities. Of course, especially if you grow in a very small town, far east. It's about 9 hours away from Moscow. So there are so few opportunities that you can enjoy. That's why my mom was 100% behind.
By the way, 9 hours is 9 hours by which mode of transportation?
Plane, of course. And a week you travel by a train. Yeah.
So that's very, very far away.
Yes. So my mom was fully supporting my decision. And although, and we can talk about it later, I have a very strong bond with my mom. And even though she was very sad to let me go, but she knew it's the best. But I mean, years after, she always came to be with me wherever I was. So it was a wonderful choice, a choice that changed my whole life.
And I think what's so beautiful about your story as well, that you weren't following a crowd. You became a fan of Korea and Korean culture before that was even a thing, before the whole Korean wave, before K-pop, before Korean beauty became popular in the world. I guess you were one of the first fans, and especially growing up the way you did, I think that's amazing. So how did you go from being a fan and growing up in Vladivostok to actually making the move and realizing your childhood dream to actually go and live in Korea?
Well, I was just so excited about the opportunity that came. I was on the second year of my studies in the university, which of course was Korean language. I connected my major to Korean language and economics. And when the chance came, which was to study the language in a very small town of Changwon, which is in the south of Korea near Busan. So probably a lot of viewers would know Busan and Seoul. So it was not like studying in the top universities or anywhere near Seoul. It was a very small town. But for me, it was a chance to start somewhere, right? And I was not born in a privileged family, very average indeed. But for me, it was an opportunity. It was the first step that I would make and get even more familiar with the culture. I would study language, and I really put everything into those 2 years that I spent in Changwon, basically studying the language. And, it was like springboard that allowed me to go to really the best university in Korea. But you have to start somewhere, and you start small. It was really, really small.
Yes, I think that's amazing as well, that you grab an opportunity with both hands and you just enjoy it and use it to the fullest. Were there any other foreigners at the time as well while you were studying there?
Yeah, there were. It was actually a small group of 3 Russian students, and we were given a scholarship basically to study in Changwon University. So we all kind of experienced this journey together. But then some people left early. Some people, did not continue their future, I would say, Korean studies with Korea, except for me, who always tried to just stay and find opportunities and to continue studying. It was my obsession, basically, that
to just fast forward, because I also want to save enough time about your entrepreneurial journey and all the other amazing things that you've encountered in your life. So you say it was a springboard to a better university in Seoul. Which university did you go to?
Yonsei University in Seoul, which is it's the top 3.
Yeah. And then that was a springboard too. Yeah.
So Samsung is considered, and you know this very well, Samsung is considered the best, and basically kind of a belief, I would say, in the country that once you make it to Samsung, your life is made. Your career is made, your life, you get better chances of getting married. You basically considered the elite, and even people who are working in Samsung are called Samsung men. So I was a Samsung man, I would say, per se. And that's precisely the topic of my book that I'm writing at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's such an amazing story, because already for a non-Korean, it's difficult, let alone being a non-Korean woman as well, right? Like you say, the people working at Samsung were referred to as Samsung men, and you're not men or Korean. So how was that?
Well, actually, on top of that, it was Samsung Engineering. So it was a very traditional engineering company, and you look around, you see only men around you, except women that are on a little bit lower positions, I would say. It was not easy. From the other hand, for me, it was a really great opportunity to start. And I actually started in Samsung Economic Research Institute, which is a kind of an internal think tank that advises Samsung subsidiaries in their, I would say, decisions to invest or market research. And later on, I transitioned to Samsung Engineering, which is a petrochemicals company. And that was a bit tough, I would say, because it's really a very traditional culture. You have to deal with all these hierarchical issues, very heavy Samsung culture, I would say. That
for the people that don't know Samsung culture, can you give a couple of examples of what was very typical for the culture?
Yeah, for example, staying late, but not necessarily because you're busy. You have to observe your environment. It's actually called nunchi. Nunchi translates into reading the environment. So you have to see how things are going on and blend in. For example, you see your boss working late or your colleagues working late. And even if you have your job done, even if you have, the most efficient day in your life, you better stay. You better just observe the environment and be like, oh, so this probably.
So what do you do then? Like you fake that you're busy? You just keep copy pasting?
You can always, you can copy paste, you can read something, but you stay there. Also, probably hueshik, which are late dinners, and it's a kind of a team building activities, which sometimes can be very frequent and can be very late. You start with a dinner, you continue to the first round, second round, and you finish with karaoke or something else. And again, you have to see your colleagues and your boss, and don't try to leave before them. So it's just a few examples of a corporate culture. And of course, don't speak up. Don't.
And from there, you decided to yet take another turn in your life. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I after 4 years working in Samsung Engineering, and before that it was 2 years years in Samsung Economic Research Institute, I decided to just take a jump because I wanted to build an international career. I also wanted to learn the best from the best, and I decided to pursue MBA. It took me actually 2 years to get into the school of my dreams, which is INSEAD, because I was super stressed and super busy at work. That took me basically 7 attempts to take GMAT and to get the score that was required for INSEAD to get in. And of course, writing all the essays, it was challenging, but 2 years and I got it. So that was
And
my
that's
next
one
jump.
of the things I admire so much about you, that you don't give up. Like a lot of people would have given up like the second attempt, the third attempt, but you just keep on going. And even if it takes 7 attempts, and it's not like you had an easy life and lots of time. No, you had to do everything on top of working late, a very demanding Korean working culture. And still you just kept on going and you managed in the end.
Thank you so much, Nienke. Well, at the time, it seems like eternity. So it's like years and years, and like, when will it stop? When will I get the score I need? When I will pass that exam? When will I finish that essay? So it was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. But you made it. And then after INSEAD, you actually went back to Korea.
Well, I actually went back to Asia. It was Japan, because I got a job in Nissan as part of this rotational development program. It was like a 5-year program, quite a big commitment, but super interesting, because basically the company was hiring top MBA graduates and gave them opportunity to work in Nissan subsidiaries all over the world with rotations every 1.5 years or every 2 years in different functions. So I thought it was a really, really unique opportunity, and also investment, not only from my side, but also from the company side. And of course, it's on top of getting all the opportunities of mentorship and support that is normally provided to employees. So this was fantastic, really fantastic. And I started in Japan, and then I moved to Switzerland, and then France, where I am at the moment.
Nice. And what kind of comfort zones or rather like comfort zones you had to get out of and still make sure you were developing, did you encounter during your career at Nissan?
Well, I would say that when I moved to, actually, the reason why I wanted to go to Nissan in Japan was because I thought I knew Asia. I'm good in it. I'm like, I lived in Korea for like 12 years before joining Nissan. So I thought yeah, definitely. However, what I encountered in the company was it's a completely different culture with its own challenges, and
a new language as well for you again, right?
New language. I tried to learn Japanese because I absolutely love the language, but it's a new world, so it has nothing to do with Korea. But it was super interesting, super like exciting journey for me.
And when did you decide to actually try your own thing? Like, did you always have this idea as well of starting your own business, or did you think you would? Because a lot of people, like you say, like once you're at Samsung, you're actually like at the #1 place to be for Korean standards, right? How come you decided actually to try other things?
Well, I think after graduating from INSEAD, which has so much focus on entrepreneurship, I guess it kind of seeded something in my dream where, maybe making something on your own sometime in the future would be great. And I think ever since graduating in INSEAD, I always thought that I would like to do something, but I had a lot of ideas, but nothing really clicked until very recently. And it was like that, because I had a chat with a friend of mine. He also is MBA graduate from HSA in Paris. And he was sharing his experience launching this Ayurveda cosmetics brand and how he's utilizing social media and attention, given to us through these channels. And I was like, wow, I can also do something. But what is it that I really want to do? And it was just like that on the spot that, it was jewelry. And I think it's not accidental, because in the many instances that we traveled together with my husband, he always tried to kind of make some jewelry designs for me. Like, for example, we would travel to India and he would choose a stone and say, oh, maybe with this stone, I can make this bracelet for you. So I
so
like
your
jewelry.
husband was actually the one that wanted to customize jewelry for you as a memory of all the beautiful trips that you've done together.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that sounds
exactly. And I
so
think
romantic.
thank you so much. And I think it really had an instance in for me to pick up that line of my own business in the future.
Because what does it represent then to you, like the jewelry?
Jewelry for me is, I mean, for me, it's a way to tell my stories. I always thought that, I always kind of felt that, humbly, that whenever I met people and you start sharing, yeah, okay, I lived in Korea for 12 years, I lived in Japan for 4 years. I found it interesting for others to get to know more about it and hear my stories. Also working in these two major corporations like Nissan and Samsung. So I always wanted to tell my story and jewelry, because a lot of designs are actually inspired by Asian philosophy and aesthetic. That's why it's also for me a way to tell my story. So it's a really, as they say, personal brand, but I really mean it's super personal.
Yeah. And when you mean super personal, it's even so personal that you gave it your own name.
Exactly. It's Varova.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Why did you decide that?
I thought that what can be more unique than your own name, and that's also a way for me to honor my mother, my family, who were behind everything that I am right now. All my achievements, all my, breakthroughs, all my ideas. My mom, basically my mom, she was always behind it. She was always supporting me. So it's also a way for me to honor.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you're even working together in this with your mom, right?
Yes, every day, she knows all about my latest designs, all about my few ideas for the future. So yeah, absolutely. And my husband, of course. I mean, my husband is the one with whom we discuss future designs at the dinner table. So yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
I've also seen some pictures of him helping out with photo shoots. Of course, you wouldn't be Sasha if you wouldn't also be very ambitious with your photo shoots, because I've seen some amazing shoots. Like maybe you can obviously tell it much better than I can, but I've seen like behind the scenes of like a photo shoot in Milan with like models and the best videographers in the world. How did you come up with that, and how did you find the right people to work with?
Well, I knew that I have to, I really wanted to take beautiful shots of my jewelry. And, like they say in the movies, like you hire a model and videographer, but how do you do that? So I started looking around in this big online kind of recruiting platforms. But I don't know these people. Like, are they really doing a good job? How are they in person? Because for me, it's important to build this good working relationship. And it's not something that you do just one off and you go. It's a relationship. You are looking for a partner.
Totally.
And it was basically a friend of a friend found this guy in Milan. I think honestly, it would have been so much easier if I found someone in Paris, and you have beautiful locations, right, to shoot some jewelry, and you have beautiful girls, but no, it is Milan. And this is a guy I would follow all the way to Milan to make my photo shoot, like up to this day.
Just because you wanted to work together with this person.
Exactly. Because I know he does a great job. It's also fun because it has to be fun. If you I chose the side hustle. It was at the time side hustle. I'm trying to make a transition right now, but you have to enjoy. In the end, it was that decision that you took on the spot, asking yourself, what do you really want to do? What do you want? Your heart, what does it tell you? And it was that. And I believe you have to enjoy. So it's not something that you have to do even.
What is a subject so engaging to both you and your family? Because of course, like if you run your own business, automatically it's a family business, right? That you even discuss it at the dinner table.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Is it sometimes also hard to not discuss the business?
The thing is that my husband also loves jewelry. He loves jewelry. I love jewelry. So, I mean, of course, sometimes the business is tough, right? Things are not working. People are failing. You hire someone to do the job and they just don't do it, and you waste money. Or, you order a design and then it comes and it doesn't look like you want it. So, of course, I mean, I kind of use the word deflate. I'm like, no, it didn't work. But, my husband, he is so much behind this business, supporting me so much that he doesn't mind. It's like it's a part of our life. So it never was an issue. I would say that we are talking too much about the business, or it's a part of basically our relationship, our life. So it's been very, very good so far.
Yeah, and that's amazing that even in this you also support each other, because it's quite challenging as well having two careers, right? And two very international careers. Maybe you can also elaborate a bit on what your husband is doing.
Yeah, my husband is at the moment, he is heading his delegation of the Dominican Republic in UNESCO. He's chargé d'affaires. And recently...
so he has a diplomatic career.
Yeah, he has a diplomatic career. And he's been on a long-term mission in South Korea, where basically we met, then in Japan, and now in France. So actually, when
So
we
you've
met,
always
and it
managed
was
to, sorry to interrupt, you've always managed to be in the same place at the same time, maybe except for the period at INSEAD?
it's exactly what I wanted to continue to say, that when we met, when we met, he already knew that I was applying to business school. So it would mean that we would part at one moment. But I remember exactly how he said when we met. He said, I know you're a very capable person, and I will never cut your wings, and I will always support you. So I will go wherever you go. And up to today, he kept his word. So we met in Korea. I went to INSEAD in France and Singapore. He visited me in France and Singapore. When I got a job in Nissan in Japan, he transferred to Japan. Then I went to Switzerland. This is complicated, right? I went to Switzerland, and he almost got a transfer to join me there. But then Nissan was moving me to France. So it didn't make sense. And he joined me in France, working in UNESCO right now. So up to this moment, he kept his word, and really, 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 I so much appreciate it.
Yeah. And I think that's also one of the beautiful things, like with your online business, it also helps you become more flexible to now follow his career, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah, I'm ready.
Was that also one of the intentions behind building an online business, or is that just an additional benefit?
No, absolutely. I always wanted to be flexible because both our careers, as you said, are so international. We can go anywhere. So of course it made
And you also recently became a mom. So how do you combine that?
crazy. my my son is 7 years old, and
7 months?
7 months. Yeah, he will be 7 months in a few days. And I enjoy motherhood so much. And I was looking forward to it because also as a mature woman, I'm almost 40, you take this decision you take this, I would say, experience as in a very mature way. You enjoy everything. You you're amazed of like all the little progresses that the kid makes. But at the same time, I probably was also looking forward to something that I can occupy my mind with while being a mother, because it's something that I lived and breathed all my life, ever since I was 18 years old. I was always doing something, studying or working. And literally, since he was born, a couple of weeks into mothership, I was utilizing every single free minute that I had to do something, for my business. I had some other businesses launched. I am writing a book. I have my jewelry business. So even if I would not do something, I would be thinking about it. And then when the clock hits 8:00 p.m. and the child is asleep, I would be like, it's like a sprint, ready, set, go. And you start doing everything in the most efficient way you ever made anything in your life.
Yeah.
So that's like this.
So are you saying that being a mother even made you more efficient?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And you
Yes.
briefly mentioned as well that you're currently writing a book. What are you writing the book about? What's going to be in it?
Well, the book is called I Am Samsung Woman, or just Samsung Woman. I haven't decided yet, but obviously it's about as title says, about my experience working in Samsung, and also about my life in Korea. It's a memoir.
That's amazing. And maybe you can tell us already some of the secrets that you're sharing in the book?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a very personal story. I'm sharing also, of course, about growing up in a small town in Vladivostok, about my family, and also, as we talked about it, my dream to go to Korea. But also this dream is a little bit, I would say, is challenged a little bit with the realities, because once you are a student, you are studying, you're enjoying your time, but when you really have to play that game, you have to blend into the company, you have to make it, because you don't have a choice, right? You have to survive, I would say, in this environment that you don't know anything about it. A lot of challenges I have went through, and these are the things that I'm sharing very openly and very candidly in the book. And especially working there as a woman and as a foreigner. So the book is coming along. It's about maybe 60-70% written, but a lot of revisions will be done. And I hope to publish it maybe early next year.
Wow. Well, I cannot wait to read it. Sounds like a lot of fun, and also like a lot of recognition probably, right? Because also of my own personal experience. So I'm very excited about that. So I would like to dive in to your business a little bit more, because your business, like you, I mean, you're Russian, growing up partially in Korea, married married to a man from Dominican Republic. Like you're already so international, living in Paris at the moment. Like next move is already another international experience that's waiting for you there. Where do you find the inspiration for your jewelry business?
Inspiration, because I think it really is rooted into my very honest and sincere desire that this is particularly the business that I want to do. Now, for example, so many things I like about my business, and one of them is creation, right? The creative part of it. You have some idea in your mind of some particular design, and you feel inspired, and you put it on a paper, and then it comes along, and it has a physical shape, and you're like, oh my God! And these are the moments when you realize that I'm so happy to be doing business. I feel so satisfied when your creation comes to life. Or, for example, of course, when you have customers who are also telling you, giving you feedback that like, wow, I love your jewelry. This is so beautiful. I'm so happy that I found you. And these are the things that are inspiration for me to continue and to overcome all those challenges that come along naturally.
And I think that's also the beauty of the jewelry business, right? Because it's always happy moments where people buy something, like it's either like an anniversary or a birthday or even like a special event like becoming a parent. So it's always something very celebratory, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of your jewelry has also to do with Asian culture, calligraphy. How do you pronounce it again? Yeah.
Calligraphy.
Where did that inspiration particularly come from?
Well, my jewelry is inspired by the notion that, yes, there is some portion of luck that will influence, how well you do in life, but also I always believed in hard work and determination and perseverance, the qualities that I think helped me survive my journey in Asia. So these are the notions that I try to embed in my jewelry design, and that is why you see the calligraphy brush that I patented, and all this like little Oriental characters that you can match together with the brush, a calligraphy brush, and basically these are the notions that you can carry with you.
Nice. And what made you actually patent and design? Because I think some people might not directly think about that. What made you realize that it made sense for you to do that?
Because I have never seen such design ever in my life. I always wanted to create something like very Oriental, and our house is full of ornaments that we brought from Japan and Korea. And one of the ornaments were the set of calligraphy brushes. It's probably that big, and we have about 5 brushes. And once at the dinner table, me and my husband, we are like looking around, like thinking, brainstorming what could be the next design. And we look at that, we're like, oh my God, this is a calligraphy brush that we can make. And I tried to see in the internet whether anything like this existed, and there was none. And I thought the concept is so beautiful, and the versatility also of the design, that you can match it with different Oriental characters and not just alone. I thought it was so beautiful and so unique that I just wanted to protect it. So that was basically the idea behind this decision.
That's amazing. And you also mentioned that from the communities that are also into calligraphy, you've received amazing feedback, right? People really, really appreciate that right now there's something that they identify with, that they can really carry around their neck.
Yeah, pure coincidence, but there are a few calligraphers actually with whom we became friends because they felt so identified with these designs, because that's something that they experience every day. That's their life, the calligraphy, right? And of course they found the design super like beautiful, and they identified themselves with it.
That's amazing. And what role does social media play with promoting your company and finding your customers?
Actually, it's a major role. It's everything. It's a way for me to reach out to my customers, to build community, because I don't have a shop, an offline shop. I sell jewelry online, and social media is a way to reach out to those people, to find people who will feel identified with my designs.
And what kind of advice would you give to anybody who is currently thinking, well, I'm still in my job, but maybe I should also start an online business? What would be the first steps?
I would say don't quit your job. Just continue developing your idea on the side until you feel that, this is it. And you are so certain. I mean, you can never be certain whether this is it, but you will feel happy when you do it. And I think this would be the moment for you to transition. But I would say just go go ahead and start as soon as possible and continue developing it free time. Whenever you have a free moment, start building, and nowadays I feel it's so easy to start an online business. You just go ahead and, start Instagram and Facebook and build a simple web page, and you are done. You just
Yeah.
need to constantly do things every single day, not wait until this perfect strategy or perfect plan, because in my business, I feel so many things were born just because I was trying. And I think the time when I started my business, the notions that I had are like completely outdated. I changed because I was going through this every day. So just go
Yeah.
ahead and start. I think this is would be my advice.
Could you elaborate on some of the lessons that you learned, and also like looking back, what with the knowledge that you have today, you would have done differently?
I would say my biggest lesson was patience, related to patience, because things don't happen overnight. And even like nowadays, I also keep on making mistakes because I want things to work faster, to happen faster, but it's not like that. It's never like this, because this mindset is very important, because it drives your decisions. Like one day you're like, okay, let me get this super agency that will do magic and that you will grow overnight, or at least like within a month you will become like, the next I don't know, biggest jewelry brand. It's never like this. I think that's why I was saying the advice that I would give to people who are thinking to start right away, because it's a long-term journey, and you have to also, be patient. Even if things don't work out, it's totally normal, and just make mistakes, learn from them, and just continue going, because that's something that you really want to do. I think this would be my biggest advice, biggest lesson also.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. Basically, you say you need to get out there, you need to start testing things, and then from the testing, you'll actually build your success.
Absolutely. And don't get frustrated if things don't work out. It's a part of the process. Everyone says it,
So
but it's
how do
really
you
like
deal
that.
with it? Like you say, don't get frustrated. How do you deal with it?
That's tough. It does happen. I just give myself a little bit of time, because always mornings are brighter than evenings, right? Give a little bit myself a time. And also for me, it's talking with my family, with my husband, with my mother, because I have to let things out, to talk them. And then, in a couple of days or the next day, you're like, okay, now I have a new hope again. I start over. It's totally fine. And I think that sharing and is the key.
Yeah, I think that's also very good advice. So where do you see your business in 5 years?
Oof, that's a great. In 5 years, I want Varova to be a little bit more known than it is today. I want to find that ideal customer, because my jewelry is very unique, right? It's inspired by Asia. I would say it's not commercial. It's not commercial. So I'm still
I would
kind of
say it really reflects
experimenting and
you.
trying to find that ideal. Yes, thank you. That was the intention. Yeah, it's very unique. And for me, I really want to find that ideal customer that would feel identified with the jewelry. So for example, I have now the calligraphers, but I want to find more people like that. So for me, it's a journey to, experiment and try and to let my name basically be known.
Yeah.
That's basically my goal, a humble goal for the next 5 years.
Amazing. Well, we cannot wait to see what's going to happen the next 5 years. And your book, of course, coming out. That's super excited. Big moves happening soon in your life. So we wish you all the best. And for all the people that have been tuning in, watching this, listening to this, where should they go to find you and to buy all your beautiful products?
Thank you so much, Nienke. Well, it's aleksandravarova.com, Alexandra with X, or same name on Instagram or Facebook. I'm there. Also Pinterest, basically all same name. So yeah, please feel free and check my story out.
Yeah, it's easy to find you. We'll be sharing your socials as well. And for now, thank you so much for sharing your amazing story. And yeah, like we said, can't wait to see the rest of the story unfolding, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much, Nienke. It was fantastic opportunity to be with you and to share my story. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Have a great day, and have a great day to everyone.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.